Hey everybody, Brandon here with ADHD Game Dev. So I want to talk to you today about paralysis in progress paralysis. I wouldn't call it project paralysis because that sounds like a video game name and people will get confused. But I do find that there's this, it's always this scattered thing going on in the brain, isn't it? And you don't know what would be quote unquote normal stuff that's going to slow you down versus what's ADHD or specific. And I don't know either because I've never been normal. But I do find that largely speaking, the stuff that's going to get me, the stuff that's going to slow me down is going to be, one, just straight up losing interest in what I'm working on. Two, it might be feeling completely overwhelmed by everything that needs doing, because I do find that I think it's an ADHD thing, or maybe it's just a me thing. Again, I don't know. I've never been normal, but I find that ADHDers are really, really intuitive. We can see everything start to finish. Sometimes it's a false impression of everything, and you get this sense of overwhelm because you see the entire universe in front of you. When you start a game, it's or a journey, of 1,000 miles. You know what they say? It starts with one step. With an ADHD, they're like, "Oh my God, I can see 1,000 miles in front of me," and all the things that might happen, all the contingencies, and so that overwhelm can happen. So that losing interest in, I'm bored with what I'm doing, or feeling overwhelmed by everything that needs to be done, can also have lack of direction and what to do next. I talk about that in other videos about how to mitigate some of this stuff, and I think that having notes about just the next step can be really helpful, because that gets into that do the next thing. And as far as losing interest, it can be, like I said, treat this like a hobby. I've said that a lot of times in my videos, but treat it like a hobby and try to have fun in the moment of what you're doing, having fun creating the game. So, and I know I'm weaving back and forth here. This is how we roll. 4 is the self-doubt and perfectionism. This is, if it's not enough to doubt your next step, the self-doubt and the perfectionism says, hey, let's second guess the things that we've already done. This is my video, Stop Painting the Rocks. I talked about that, because you tend to just get so hyper fixated on just the one thing that's right there, and you can just be like, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. And you start spiraling on that. And people misunderstand ADHD so much, don't they? They're like, oh, you can't sit down and focus at all. Not true. You can sit down and focus, and sometimes it'll be on the wrong things. Okay, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees, and sometimes all you can see is just the one single tree in front of you, and then other times squirrel in the tree, that's the choke squirrel. And I always say, yeah, an ADHDer goes, oh, squirrel, because the squirrel is probably doing something more interesting than whatever is in front of you, right? So there's all these different factors that are coming in, and you never know which one is, this is just the way my brain is wired, or like, yeah, everybody faces that. Okay. And all the while, you've got in the back of your head this voice of saying, well, I'm not interested. This is overwhelming. I don't know what to do next. And probably what I've done up until this point is no good. You see, I got the whole story out there. And what you say to yourself is, I'm going to scrap this whole thing and make all these problems go away, and I'm going to start a new project. And it doesn't have these problems. The new project is beautiful. The new project doesn't have these issues. The new project doesn't have that stupid glitch where the guy won't jump on the edge. The new project is so much better, right? Wrong. Because the issue here is that you're going to wind up with a pile of new projects. Because making video games comes with all these complexities, and the more you add to it, the more you build, the more these complexities start to emerge, because you've added and added and added and added. And if you haven't done a really good job on the basics of setting up your game and writing good code as you go along and making things easy for yourself as you go along, every single thing that becomes a resistance or point of resistance can be enough to derail you. Like right now, I'm working in higher definition graphics. Okay, that takes a little bit more time to work with. So just working with a new graphic, instead of saying, I'm just going to scribble out something and kind of get the sketch, I'm like, oh no, I got to Ooh, it's a big thing. So that overwhelm comes in, and I'm going to say it's not good enough, and I'm going to say, oh, I don't want to do it, and I'd rather watch YouTube. Okay, that's me last night. So this is this vicious cycle over and over and over, and the solution is always to not keep going. The problem is when you start a new project, when you give up on what you're doing, all of these issues are carried with you because you never learned how to deal with them as they come up. That's what happens, is that you've never learned how to, all right, I'm going to figure out how to get through it. I want to say as an ADHDer, but I don't want to lean on that like a crutch. I just want to say as a person, as you, as a developer, as me, being ourselves, having to take these steps and work through it. Listen. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. The truth of the matter is that lots of people would like to make video games. If you're watching this and you're at the point where you can actually get things going and you can start to make things and you're seeing progress, you're ahead of where a lot of other people wish they would be. They haven't put in the time, they haven't put in the energy, the effort, the discipline, the work to get anything going. They're just like, it would be nice if. And all they see is the end result, and they're not willing to take those steps. So if I have any advice for you today, is to take all of this, and I'm aware my list is, I listed out 4 things and I'm kind of bouncing around on them. So I'm going to list them again for you just so we're clear, because this scattered all over the place is just how our brains go. This is how it works. Now try to make a video game this way, right? I said losing interest in what you're doing and wanting to bail and go somewhere else, feeling overwhelmed by everything that needs to be done and wanting to bail and go do something simpler. You feel like there's a lack of direction on what to do, but the other project is like, ooh, green space, I could start fresh. And this self-doubt and perfectionism about what you've already created, because everything you created sucks. Go start a new project and it's all beautiful, right? No. I would love to be able to tell you that I have a quick solution for you, but I don't. And the truth is, everybody faces a lot of these problems, either some of them or all of them. And they're not just related to you personally. Some of them might be you personally, but they're not all. Everybody's got to work through it. Right now, I've got issues in my game to where I've realized that my main gameplay loop is not enough, and it's not really fun because you enter the maze, you fight bad guys, you find the chest, you leave, and you know what you do after that? You enter the maze and find the bad guys and then leave. That's not enough. All right, this is a major problem. Now, I could start a new game and then lie to myself and say, oh, there's no problems in the new one. Well, yeah, because it doesn't exist. It's a dream. I have to be able to say, I am the kind of person who is going to put in the work and figure out the problems and make this better instead of just cut and run, because I'm going to get to my next project and I'm going to run into problems there too. So let's overcome the paralysis that is keeping us stuck in this endless cycle of never finishing anything and of the self-doubt and of never feeling like we're doing good enough and being stuck painting the rocks. You remember, if you watch that video, Stop Painting the Rocks. Don't get stuck doing that one thing over and over and over again. Try to take and put on some blinders and just do one little thing today and have fun while you're doing it. I took my MVP, my minimum viable product, and I just stripped down, okay, what if I said, screw it, I'm not doing the whole game, I'm doing just the simplest, barest thing. What would that look like? Oh, that got me thinking, that got me more focused, and right now I stopped and I got into the self-doubt and perfectionism instead. But I need to go back to my MVP and say, just do the bare minimum of what needs to be done. I think that is a mental breakthrough of saying I have a complete game, start to finish, instead of sitting there judging myself every step of the way, right? Instead of judging myself every step of the way, that I'm actually able to complete something, and I'm taking away the pretense, okay? Let that go. Take away the pretense of best game ever. Don't ask yourself for best game ever. Say completed game. I got into writing books. I've written like three novels, I think, right now. How did I do that? Well, my first novel I ever wrote, I said, do you have it in you to write a fantastic book? I said, frankly, no, I don't think so. I'm not that good. Okay, great. Do you have it in you to write, by which I mean complete, a mediocre book? Right? And I said, yes, I can write a mediocre book. Okay, great. Yay, mediocre. So my advice to you today is try to finish a mediocre game. And you're not going to get fast results. You're not going to get instant payoff. It is a slow process. It is step by step. So strip away all the stuff, cut it to the bone, and get just that completed, finished game before you go back and say, well, what do I think I have the energy to go back and polish and improve on? At least give me a finished game. And I said, look, it's going to be opening text. It's going to be 3, 4, 5 levels, and then a boss fight. And then roll credits. Okay? If that's all I get, at least it's completed. Not anywhere near what I intend to make. But I'll tell you this, by the time I finished writing my mediocre book, I thought it was better than mediocre. I'd done pretty good. I sold myself a little short there, and I deserved a little bit more credit, and for me to get off my own back. I have talked long enough. I appreciate you being here. If you give me a sub, I will promise to make another video. And I really do appreciate you, and I hope that you will be awesome today. This is me listening to the music in my head.